Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're back on the front suspension on the Trans Am. As you recall, I've been having issues with the front left tire hitting the inner fender while driving in the bumps, and everything I've been doing has been unsuccessful. So I reached out to Dave at Pro Touring F-Body to discuss it with him. When I ordered the GTPro suspension package, at the time I did not talk with him about the tire choices I was gonna make. So I just told him I wanted the GTPro suspension. And once we started talking and he asked me about the tire size, I told him and he said, yeah, that's not gonna work. So he suggested I go with the Viking hybrid coilover system because a taller spring was not readily available and the coilover system was. So I told him to send me the coilover system. So I did the left side for practice just to see if I know how it's gonna go. It's still up on jack stands. So we're gonna do the passenger side, and this is basically the shock body with the compression and remount adjustment, the locking mechanism, and the mount for the springs, and that's the spring. And I'm gonna start assembling this and then removing the old stuff. There's the GTPro spring and AFCO shock from the driver's side. So I'll just save those for something down the road. But for now, I'm gonna start assembling this thing and then going to the car and taking out the passenger side shock and spring and replace it with this. And then once we drop it, we'll check for height and adjust it accordingly just so I can drive it. So let's go. So here the shock and spring are out on the passenger side. I didn't show you the procedure because we've done it before, but one thing to keep in mind, as always, when you're working with coil springs, those things pack so much energy. Make sure you put a jack under the control arm and tie the spring with those tie straps to the control arm, just in case it gets away from you, it doesn't fly and basically kill you. So once that's out, now we can install the coilover setup. This is a hybrid coilover. It's not the full coilover because the full coilover is gonna need some work on the upper shock mount. I think the factory shock mount has to be cut off and the new mount has to be welded in. Since I'm not a welder or fabricator, I figured I'd go with the hybrid for now. And then one other difference is the factory shock. The bottom mount goes here, those two holes, and the shock goes from the bottom up. So the mounts for the shock is from the bottom of the control arm. The hybrid coilover comes with this 3/16 inch thick plate that sits here where the control arm, the cup is for the spring, and the shock sits on top of it. It's the opposite of the factory setup. The factory, the shock mounts from the bottom. This hybrid coilover setup, the shock has to sit on top of the control arm because now you have the whole weight of that side on it and you don't want just the bolts carrying the front. So let's start assembling the shock. So this is the basic Viking shock, and it comes with the bottom bearing that we need to put together. So it'll go on the so this is where it will sit on the control arm, and it goes in here So let's do that, and then once that's assembled, and the spring mounting base, like this, spring mounting base will go in, get threaded into here. Then we'll put the spring on, extend the shock, put the shock in. These are the upper rubber mounts for the top of the shock. So let's go install this. So everything is with C-clips on the roller bearing. 2 C-clips for the large for this piece. There's a groove machined on both sides where the C-rings will snap into place. That's in that side. So it's there. Now this goes through, and this also has grooves here for the other C-clips. Reverse my little C-clip pliers. Okay, that's it. That's how it goes. And this is ready. And that's where it mounts on top of the control arm. So both of those are snapped into place. And now before we install the spring perch, we have to anti-seize. So here's the shock, the locking nut and the seat where the spring is in. And then there's this bearing-like ring that sits on top of this. That'll help the spring rotate if you need to adjust it. You can upgrade to the fancy Torrington bearing setup, but this came with the kit. I'm just going to use it. This needs the same anti-seize on it. Put it on, and then we'll put the spring, and then be ready to be installed in the car. And one last thing we got to do also is the settings on the shocks. These shocks come with adjustable compression and rebound settings. So, and according to the instructions, you have to do it without the tires touching the ground. So, figured I'd do it now before I put it on the car. And since I'm a nutcase, I went with compression 10, rebound 14, which is the max on the handling settings. But these are just recommended. Once you put it in the car and then drive it around, then I'll figure out what it needs. But for now, put the spring on and set it in the car. Actually, one last thing is I'm gonna pull the rod out, so this thing will go in the hole. So let me extend the rod, put the spring, and let's continue. There's the rod extended. All you gotta do is hold it from the tip and just pull it out, and will come out. So let's put the spring. Here's the spring on the shock, and that's the shock extended. Now it's ready to go in the car, so let's go put that on. One other thing, these 2 shock mount holes need to be enlarged to so the bolts that hold this plate in there would fit, or you can use the factory bolts, but they give you thicker bolts to go with these. I think those are 3/8, I think. So the holes have to be enlarged. So so we'll put the plate on. I'm gonna put electrical tape here to tape it to this so it'll stay in place while I'm trying to put the shock on. If you have someone helping you, then you won't need that, but since I'm by myself, I want something to keep this thing in place. So let's get this thing done. So the coilover is in. It's pretty straightforward. Once you extend the shock rod, you want to stick it through the hole first, put the bushing and the curved washer and put the nut on and let it hang, and then come back down here and put the 2 bolts in and secure it in place. Like it says in the instructions, these go above the control arm, the tabs for the shock, not underneath like stock. And it has this reinforcing plate. So once those are done, now we're gonna turn the adjusting nut and raise the spring to somewhere in the middle. When you're installing it, you want to put it as low as possible so you can fit the shock and spring through the opening and have enough rod sticking out of the spring, top of the spring, to be able to get to here. So once that's done, I'm gonna go to the other side and measure from the bottom thread to where I have the spring and come back and match it. And then once that's done, I'll do the settings on the shock to match the other side. And once that's done, we'll put the brakes, wheels, tires back on, drop it, shake the car a couple times to see roughly where it's gonna settle, and then we have to make adjustments, ride height adjustments accordingly. So let's go to the other side and measure where the spring sits on the shock body and come back and match it here. So from the bottom coil of the spring to the last thread on the shock body, it's about 2.5 inches. So we'll go to the other side and match that to this side, and then once we drop it on the ground, we'll check it again to see if they're the same. So let's go to the other side and match. So that's raised about the same as the other side, and then we'll just click these. It's all the way to the left, so we're gonna go 10 on the compression and 14 on the rebound. Oh, there's a car on the ground, slightly higher than before. I'm gonna jack it back up and raise it probably 1/2 inch more. I got clearance now, but since I have everything set up, let's jack it up and turn it like 1/2 inch up and see what happens. Oh, there it is. I raised the coil spring about 1/4 inch, so it's 2.75 inches from the lowest thread on the shock body to the bottom of the coil spring, and looks like it gave me enough. I can slide 2 fingers here and same on the driver's side, 2 fingers. Looks good. It's too late tonight to take it out for a spin. I'll take it for a spin tomorrow and see how it looks. Hopefully nothing will touch. Springs will settle. We'll take another measurement after they settle. And this looks like it solved it. So once we take it out for a test drive, I'll have a better idea. But for now, looks like this thing worked.